shattered lives. Emma Carter gazed at her husband across their candlelit dining table, admiring how the soft light caught his jawline. 15 years of marriage, and Michael Thompson still made her heart flutter. "To us," Michael said, raising his glass, "and to closing that Henderson account. We're going to Bali next spring, just like you wanted." Emma clinked her glass against his. Michael was always thoughtful that way, remembering her dreams, surprising her with gifts, making time despite his demanding job as an investment consultant. Later that night, as Michael showered, his phone buzzed on the nightstand. Emma glanced over, not meaning to pry, but the preview caught her eye. "I miss you. Please come home soon." The sender was labeled Work Henderson Project. A fleeting unease passed through her. Why would a work contact say that? But Michael stepped out of the bathroom, hair damp and smiling, and the thought dissipated like steam. "I might need to work late again tomorrow," he said, climbing into bed beside her. "3 nights this week?" Emma frowned. Michael kissed her forehead. "The price of success, sweetheart. It'll calm down soon." She nodded, nestling against his chest. This was their perfect life. The renovated brownstone, weekend brunches, summer vacations. What more could she want? Yet, as Michael's breathing deepened in sleep, Emma lay awake, a whisper of doubt creeping through her mind like a shadow. Over the next few weeks, Emma couldn't shake the growing sense that something was wrong. The text message might have been nothing, but other inconsistencies began to accumulate like dust in forgotten corners. Michael's business trips had increased from quarterly to monthly. When she called the office during one such trip, his assistant sounded confused. "Mr. Thompson called in sick today." Then there was the receipt she found in his jacket, an expensive women's bracelet purchased on their anniversary. Yet she'd received earrings that day. When questioned, Michael mentioned a gift for his mother, though her birthday was months away. Most disturbing was the scent, a distinctive floral perfume that clung to his shirts. Not overpowering, just present enough to notice. "New colleague at work," Michael explained when Emma finally asked. "Stands too close during presentations." It was plausible. All of it was plausible, until the night Emma woke at 2 a.m. to find Michael sitting in the dark, scrolling through photos on a phone she'd never seen before. He quickly pocketed it when he noticed her stirring. "Just checking work emails," he murmured. "Go back to sleep." But Emma couldn't sleep. Not that night, nor many nights after. The whispers of doubt had become a persistent voice she could no longer ignore. "Working late again?" Emma kept her voice casual as Michael gathered his keys. "Big project. Don't wait up," he replied, kissing her cheek before heading out. This time, Emma waited 5 minutes, then grabbed her coat. She'd never followed anyone before, and her hands trembled as she started her car. The rational part of her brain screamed that this was madness, an invasion of privacy born from paranoia. Yet here she was, trailing Michael's sedan through darkening streets, keeping 2 cars between them at all times. To her surprise, he drove away from the city center, past their usual haunts, into a quiet suburban neighborhood she didn't recognize. The houses here were modest, nothing like their elegant brownstone. Michael parked in front of a small blue 2-story with white trim. Emma pulled over a block away, heart thundering as she watched him approach the front door. No fumbling for keys. He simply walked in like he belonged there. Emma waited 30 minutes before gathering enough courage to approach. The curtains weren't fully drawn, leaving a narrow gap that allowed her to see inside. The living room was warmly lit, toys scattered across the floor. A little boy, perhaps 4 years old, ran excitedly between furniture. Michael appeared, scooping the child up, spinning him around with more unbridled joy than Emma had seen in years. Then a woman entered the frame, tall, beautiful, dark-haired. Michael set the boy down and pulled the woman into his arms, kissing her with passionate familiarity. Emma stumbled backward, bile rising in her throat. She'd expected an affair, a momentary indiscretion. Not this, not a whole other life playing out like a parallel universe where she didn't exist. As she fled back to her car, Emma realized the ground beneath her feet wasn't just shifting, it had disappeared entirely. Emma spent 3 days in a haze, moving through her life on autopilot while her mind replayed the scene in that house. When Michael announced another late meeting, she returned to the blue house, this time knocking on the door. The woman who answered was even more beautiful up close, younger than Emma by perhaps 5 years, with olive skin and piercing eyes. "Can I help you?" she asked, bouncing the little boy on her hip. He had Michael's eyes. "I'm Emma Thompson," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. "Michael's wife." The blood drained from the woman's face. "I'm Sophia Reyes," she whispered. "Michael's wife." They sat in Sophia's kitchen, two strangers bound by an impossible connection. The boy, named Daniel, played in the next room, oblivious to the earthquake shaking both women's lives. 7 years, Sophia explained. "We met when I was his assistant. He said he was divorced but kept it quiet for career reasons." Her fingers trembled around her mug. "He's here 3 nights a week, weekends when he says he's traveling." Emma nodded mechanically. 15 years for me, no children. He said he wasn't ready." The implications settled over them like ash. For nearly a decade, Michael had orchestrated an elaborate choreography, moving between lives with clinical precision. "Does he seem happy when he's here?" Emma asked, immediately regretting the question. Sophia's eyes softened with unexpected compassion. "I used to think so. Now I wonder if I know him at all." As Emma drove home, she realized she'd gone there seeking a villain, someone to hate alongside Michael. Instead, she'd found another victim, another woman who'd believed in the same illusion. The private investigator's office was sterile and impersonal, fitting for the dismantling of Emma's life. Jack Morris, a former detective with tired eyes, spread photographs across his desk. "It's worse than you thought, Mrs. Thompson," he said gravely. The pictures showed Michael entering a third residence, an upscale apartment downtown. Surveillance revealed no family there, but regular meetings with various men Morris had identified as known associates of Vincent Dela Cruz, a businessman with suspected ties to money laundering. "We found multiple bank accounts, 3 different identities," Morris continued. "Your husband has been moving large sums of money. Likely not all his clients' investments are going where they should." Emma stared at driver's licenses showing Michael's face, but different names. "And the women? Sophia?" "As far as we can tell, Ms. Reyes doesn't know about the financial dealings. She believes he's a regional manager for a consulting firm." Morris hesitated. "There's also a third woman in Toronto. No children, but they've been together about 4 years." Emma felt oddly detached, as though watching someone else's life unravel. 3 relationships, multiple identities, criminal connections. This wasn't just infidelity, it was the systematic construction of entire fictional lives. "He'd need to be a sociopath," she whispered. Morris didn't disagree. "The question is, what do you want to do with this information?" What did she want? Justice? Revenge? Understanding? None seemed adequate against the magnitude of Michael's deception. "I need everything you have," Emma said finally. "And I need to know who Michael Thompson really is." Emma set the table carefully. Their best china, candles, wine chilling. A final dinner in the home built on lies. Michael arrived on time, raising an eyebrow at the elaborate spread. "Special occasion?" You could say that. Emma smiled tightly, pouring the wine. How was work? Exhausting. The Richardson account is… There is no Richardson account, Emma interrupted. Just like there was no late meeting last Thursday when you were with Sophia and Daniel, or the weekend in Chicago that you spent with Catherine in Toronto. Michael's expression shifted so subtly, most would miss it. A momentary calculation before his features arranged into confusion. Emma, what are you talking about? 15 years, Michael. Did any of it mean anything? She slid Morris's report across the table. The mask slipped then, his face hardening into something unrecognizable. He thumbed through the documents, assessing the damage. You had me investigated. Not a question, not even surprise. Who are you? Michael leaned back, something dark and unfamiliar in his eyes. Does it matter? The man you loved doesn't exist. Never did. Why? Why construct such an elaborate lie? Because I could. His voice was eerily calm. Different women fulfill different needs. You're stable, respectable, good for my primary business identity. Sophia is passionate, less questioning. Catherine is connected to people I need to know. And the money? Dela Cruz? A flicker of genuine surprise. You found that too. Very thorough. I'm going to the authorities, Emma said. All of it. The fraud. The identities. Michael's laugh was cold. No, you won't, because this goes beyond me, beyond what your little investigator found. People who would be very displeased if their arrangements were disrupted. As he spoke, Emma realized with chilling clarity she was sitting across from a complete stranger.
If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications.